Then the all-creating sovereign, mind of perfect purity, proclaimed this evident instruction about her great message. O great Bodhisattva, I, the all-creating sovereign, teach the evidence of my being under three aspects, because my own being is also taught under three aspects. The teaching of the meaning, teacher, the attendants who wish to understand this meaning, and the certain, unerring meaning. These three issues are made evident by me, the all-creating one. Now the evidence of teacher who teaches the meaning, the three forms of manifestation, as that of truth, perfect communal joy, and incorporation, are taught as the first retinues and also as the teacher's three forms of manifestation. This is the teaching of the meaning, teacher. My own nature, free of subject and object, the teaching as to my actuation, and the nature of compassion. These three facts evidence the three aspects of my own being for the good of all sentient beings. These three facts are also known as the evidence of the three forms of the teacher. Now the evidence as to those who wish to understand this meaning, in particular that of the teaching about the three retinues of the three teachers. But teaching in its detail is as follows. The Buddhas dwell in the three times, and all sentient beings living in this threefold world abide in a non-reflective state of balance. I, the all-creating, am evidenced through them as retinues. Those who do not understand that the obscurations pertinent to the sensory objects are not generated through the sensory faculties, and who reflect upon their own mind of perfect purity in terms of it being a thing or the thing's reality, these people will remain obscured and divorced from their entry into the first bodhisattva stage, up to the 10th. My actuation will become apparent under the dual aspect of teacher and retinue, to the bodhisattvas of the 10th stage who are seen to enjoy the 5 sensory objects. By reflecting upon the nature of suchness with an understanding mind, they will gain a notion of having understood. Some will understand this notion as eternal, and others will understand it as separate from the empty. When the 4 kinds of non-Buddhists who see causation in a wrong way become converted, they are taught causation. They will give up their sins and develop the 4 virtuous attitudes. For 3 great eons, I shall be evident as teacher and retinues who are existent. As to the pristine awareness which has intelligence as its object, it will become evident in terms of the certainty of the pure. O great Bodhisattva, what is called evidence is evident by whom? What is evident, and to whom is it evident? By whom is it made evident? By me. What is evident? The mind in itself is evident. To whom is it evident? It is evident to the retinues who envision it as their individual goals. To some it becomes evident for the purpose of giving up, to others for the purpose of obstructing, to others for the purpose of practicing, to others for the purpose of purifying, to others for the purpose of rejecting and acquiring, to others for the purpose of itself. Some see it as an object to be given up, some as an object to be obstructed, some as an object for cleansing, some as an object for purifying, some as an object for rejecting and acquiring, some as an object for gathering the retinues under one supremacy. The retinues following the teaching of causation see it this way. O great Bodhisattva, as to my own being, becoming evident, I teach the following with certainty. I am actuating you, which is the revelation of my own being, and which comes forth as your own being. By virtue of your own evident nature, you ought to know your own being. You ought to understand your own actuation. Thereby, you can teach this message to the retinues receptive to the teaching of causation. Such she spoke. Then Sempa Dorje gave this sermon to the retinues about causation. O attendants who should be instructed in causation, the teacher of the teaching, the all-creating one, has made everything in a perfect manner. The perfectness becomes evident, it becomes evident as my own being. Therefore I understand that I am her own nature. I understand I am her actuation. Nothing else is to be recognized as existent. I recognize that she herself exists in all. If you do not recognize herself as existent in you, by not understanding that she herself is in the very object, whereby you consider the objects as great enemies, then you will not see your own mind in its reality, for as long as 100 eons, because you have abandoned your own being. If you do not see your own mind in its reality, you are about to abandon your own nature of perfect purity for as long as 100 eons, and you will not obtain the bliss of the deedless. But if you do not understand the object as your own self, you will consider the object as an enemy because of its conditions. This view obstructs your own nature, and for 100 eons you will not see your own mind in its reality. If you do not see your own mind in its reality, your own perfect purity will be obstructed for 100 eons, and because of that you will not obtain the great bliss of the deedless. By not understanding the object as your own self, you will consider the object as an object for purification. Thus, if you attempt to purify your own being, you will be unable to see your own mind in its reality for as long as 3 great eons. Not to see your own mind in its reality is to be without the confidence to see your own mind as not in need of purification. If you see filth in subject and object with regard to the objects which are of perfect purity and simplicity, you will attempt to cleanse them through the 3 purifications, inner, outer, and mental, as well as through bathing and other purifications. By not seeing your mind in its clarity, you are deprived of the clarity of your own mind. For 7 lifespans you will not see your own mind in its reality. If you consider the objects as something which is either to be accepted or rejected, although they are of perfect purity, where accepting and rejecting is not applicable, you practice accepting and rejecting with regard to the self-originated itself. You exercise accepting and rejecting as to your own selves. For a duration of 3 lifetimes, you will not see the non-duality of your own mind. If you view the objects as something which can be accomplished through striving, although they are self-perfected, of consummate purity, you will appropriate and subjugate everything by means of the 3 samadhi of bodhicitta. Because you wish to accomplish through striving what is your own mind's perfect purity, where striving is not applicable, you will assume the form of a joy manifestation at the 16th of every month, or for a duration of 1,106 years, and you will consider the practice of endurance with regard to your own self-perfected mind. For those of you who attempt to accomplish enlightenment through striving, it is of no use to consider what is evident as your own mind in its reality, as cause and result. But for those of you who are endowed with the right karmic disposition, it will evidence itself in its meaningfulness. Such Sempa Dorje said. Then the all-creating sovereign gave this sacred instruction. O great Bodhisattva, the evident reality is your own mind. Those who adhere to the vehicle of causation will not recognize their own mind as evidencing reality. Therefore, for eons, they will remain in a state of mental obstruction because of their abandoning such insight. By thinking of progressing on the path through purifications, they will stay in samsara for 3 eons. For purifications like bathing and other purifying rites, they will spend 7 lifespans, and another 3 lifespans with exercising blessing and acquiring and rejecting. By wishing to gather retinues for themselves, they spend 1,106 years to generate the visualization of joy manifestations, thereby cognizing it as their own mind. But when they gain infallible insight, they will obtain without effort the great bliss. O great Bodhisattva, listen! You ought to comprehend my sacred instruction, which is the all-creating one's, because this instruction is unlike the Mahayana, which teaches causation. Likewise, you ought not to ponder on the system of causation, because from the primordial everything, the way it appears, is one with the reality of your own mind. By understanding your own mind in its suchness, your own perfect purity will appear as actuation. Although many do not understand this, they apply individual terms such as appearance of the conventional, or the non-appearance of the absolute. But absolute or conventional, these are not two, but only one truth. Through such statements, whether or not the pure truth is truly existing, have become also obscured, as they attempt to define the pure. The desire for bliss is a sickness of attachment, and for this reason you will accomplish bliss only by not desiring it. By performing Buddha sadhana, you will not realize Buddhahood, but you will be self-perfected by abiding in your own being, which cannot be sought. Contemplate without reflection on the own being, which cannot be sought. I do not teach that the pure Buddha exists in words claiming to define the essence of Buddha. Whoever sees the Buddha as existent will not realize the Buddha, who is not different from the dimension of reality. But if some people do not theorize the Buddha, they will cognize their own mind as deedless. If no theoretical framework is applied, their own mind will shine forth as it has been from the beginning. This mind does not actually appear, but their own mind is all-encompassing. This appearance is the actuation of existence. Those who follow the vehicle of causation and who do not think this way, the deedless reality of their own mind will be obstructed due to their concerns for giving out obstacles, purging, and various blessings. This is like somebody who leaves things in their place, but then searches for them in the far distance. After giving up the bliss of the deedless, they take to striving. There is no awareness other than this. The samadhi of no agitation is a hitching post, binding the mind instead of freeing it. Since beginning, the own being is without agitation or loss. The great vehicle of causation, which is a teaching in need of interpretation, is taught by impostors in hope for an unagitated samadhi. Since beginning, own being is without agitation or without loss. It is the antidote of all striving and achieving, and destroys them. If I, the all-creating one, would expound such a teaching to the retinues by teaching a doctrine of causation, it would mean to exercise praise and dispraise in saying result comes from cause. Those who adhere to a samadhi and a yoga in the pursuit of Buddhahood give up the genuine yoga due to their desire for samadhi. The genuine balance is the entirety of reality, and apart from this reality there is no Buddha. To apply a name to the Buddha is just a word. What is called reality is nothing else but one's own mind. The genuine own mind is explained as manifestation of truth. What is genuine is birthless from the primordial. The gist of the birthless is to be without striving and achieving. Trying to achieve spiritual progress through striving will not bring about the deedless achievement. O great Bodhisattva, listen! The teachers in their three aspects of manifestation of truth, joy, and incorporation, the teachings of the one vehicle, of the two vehicles, of the three vehicles, were brought forth by me, the all-creating sovereign. I am the origin from which all teachers emanate. They come forth from the three aspects of my own being. My non-reflective, well-poised manifestation of truth comes forth from my own nature, which is free of subject and object. And it does so for the good of the retinues who are non-conceptual, unborn, and joyful. The retinue of the manifestation of truth is indivisible, as it is taught that it is in balance and unborn. This is declared as the true Dharma without remainder. As my own being appears in everything, therefore my manifestation of joy comes forth as a host of retinues who enjoy the sensual pleasures in a purified manner. Thereby, the actuation is perfected as to doctrinal views and practice. What emanates from my playful actuation is not the common vehicle. The corporeal manifestation and the four retinues work the wheel of whatever students are to be disciplined by means of these corporeal manifestations that come forth from my compassionate nature. These manifestations also come forth as my compassion in accord with the teaching on causation. O great Bodhisattva, in short, what is called evident instruction is taught as my own nature. What that is explained as the evident instruction, as my, the all-creating one's own being is one. The perceivable objects appear in three aspects, and from them come forth all things, such as the Buddhas, sentient beings, the animated and inanimated world, everything. My, the all-creating one's own being becomes evident in this way. Who discern anything else to exist besides this will not meet me, the all-creating one, for the duration of eons. Therefore my my first retinue, the three manifestations of the retinues following the vehicle of causation and gradual purging. O great Bodhisattva, I am this evidence. There is no other evidence. I myself am evident. One's own mind is evident. The non-erring is evident. The firm is evident, and the suchness is evident. O great Bodhisattva, my evident nature evidences the Buddhas of the five great elements. This is how the Buddhas of the five great elements are. My actuation is evident as this reality because of all that appears and exists as animated in animated world. It is evident in all that exists. Because it does not need any deeds, it exists since the beginning as Buddha. Because it is without striving and achieving, it is since the beginning known as great. What is known as the revealed Buddha is thus evidence of my own being. Because it has become the center, the central vigor, it is the self of everything. As it does not need any deeds, it is the Buddha since the beginning. As it is free of striving and achieving, it is since the beginning known as great. The great self is known as the great Buddha. This evidence, which is unborn and non-conceptual, is the dimension of reality, because since the beginning it is free of subject and object. As it is not in need of deeds, it is the Buddha since the beginning. That is, it is not in need of striving and achieving. Since the beginning it is known as great. It is known as the dimension of reality and the great Buddha. I am surely evident. Simile, meaning, and investigation are taught as three aspects. The sky is taught as a simile giving meaning to reality. Certainly, those who investigate the mind of perfect purity, and certainly those who have doubts, will say that this is the Buddha by means of simile, meaning, and investigation. This suchness, my own being, will not appear to anybody, although it is evident. This is the non-erring nature. Such is the genuine own beingness, called the actuation in itself. Do not overvalue the existence of the Buddhas in the three times with regard to suchness and the own being as such. But do also not undervalue the non-existence of the threefold world and its sentient beings. I do not explain the Buddha's non-existent greatness because they who apply analytical and discursive thinking will not be able to grasp it. Such she spoke. This is the 15th chapter of the all-creating sovereign mind of perfect purity, in which the evidence as to the three aspects of her own being is explained.